on to whatever it is that he's got in his grasp. The sign of Cancer does not easily give up. It needs to have its feeling of being nurturing and security and so on. And even politically, when you look at this country, not that I'm much of a politician, but if you look,
you're a perfect politician. You never say anything.
Well, exactly.
No. I mean, here it is. Here's O.J. He has now been found not guilty, not necessarily innocent, but not guilty. And my question is, what's going to happen to him now? Is he... The reason if you read the Liz Smith article, and I guess this came out of the Daily News or something like that, there's a thing here about O.J. will have a very difficult time surviving in this old world as a free man. Like the President of the United States, he will always have some nutcase waiting to go down in history for erasing him.
Well, I think that's true. I think he is someone that is going to be, it's not going to leave him behind. It's going to be there. And he's definitely under a pretty heavy strain with the moon in Pisces. He has the moon in Pisces of either, psychologically losing it or, some actual physical manifestation, something happening to him violently. Until April of next year. He has, a strong... Things are not going to get any easier for him.
A marked man.
I'm sorry. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, mm-hmm. But I don't like to, necessarily dwell on the negative. To me, the interesting part is why did we react to it so strongly? I know in New York it was so interesting because the night before the jury came in, one of the most heavily attended and creative new operas, well, it wasn't new exactly, but it was a new cast and a new director and so on, was Othello. Mm-hmm. And this wasn't lost on anybody in the audience, that the feeling of coincidence, Jung talks about it as being synchronicity, but, we call it coincidence. How is it that play opened the night that the verdict was, had been, we didn't know, but everybody was on pins and needles. And when you think of a tragedy like Othello, and the nature of theater and tragedy in general, people, you don't walk away from these plays or operas or whatever with a feeling of necessarily joy, but you walk away with having experienced something. You identify with Othello, you identify with Desdemona, you identify with Iago. All of these characters are aspects of ourselves, even Iago. And, there is this tendency for this country to sometimes put its nose in places that it shouldn't, So...
Yes, politicians are speaking now. We've got a phone call. This is Joyce from Brewster. Almost happy birthday, October 14th, 1947. Joyce, let me be the first to wish you a happy birthday on your upcoming birthday. You're on with Mary Michele.
Thank you.
Hi, Joyce.
Hi, how are you?
Fine, how are you?
Good, thanks.
October 13th, you said?
October 14th.
14th.
Yes.
1947.
Right.
Right.
My life has been a little bit chaotic up till now, and I was just wondering if you could tell me if things are going to calm down in the future or what is in store.
Well, you have the sun in Libra, as you know. The moon, it's very possible that your moon is in Scorpio. You have Mercury in Scorpio. You have Venus in Scorpio. You have Jupiter in Scorpio. There are a lot of Scorpio planets here. And I don't know if you've listened, to me recently, but what I've talked about a lot is the sign of Scorpio and how it's been a difficult time since Pluto went into the sign of Scorpio 12 years ago for people that have a lot of Scorpio influence. Was there something in particular that happened 12 years ago for you that may relate to what you feel is the problem today?
No, I can't actually pinpoint any particular thing.
What is the particular? What would you say would be the overriding problem that you are experiencing or feeling now?
I have problems with my marriage, and I have
So it's relationship issues. Those are the main. That's the main.
Yes.
Thrust. Well, has the relationship been in trouble for a while?
I'd say yes, I would say for about 5 years now.
Mm-hmm. Well, the nature of Scorpio and all these planets in Scorpio and then having the sun in Libra. Libra is a cardinal sign, and, as a rule, cardinal signs like to take charge. But Scorpio is a fixed sign, and Scorpio likes to get to the root of the problem. So I would bet that you probably at this point know what the root of the problem is, and you're just probably having a little bit of difficulty trying to decide on which way to go with it. But I think you already know, and I think you have to trust your knowledge. It's been, as I said before, 10 or 12 years that you have been looking at this. And even though you may not have verbalized it and it may not be concrete in your mind, you've been going through it pretty heavily already. And I think you just have to trust that whatever your decision would be, that you will be right about it. You already know. I know that's not terribly satisfactory, but I think that, unless you can give me some exact situation, and that's what you need to do. You need to be talking about it. You need to try to verbalize it. Do you talk to people about this?
Yes. Oh, yes.
And would you say there's one particular, when you hear yourself talk about it, is there one direction that you're going with it?
I believe I know. You're right. I believe I know what direction I am going, and I just.
November. You'll do something about it in November.
November?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you
Thanks.
for calling, Joyce. Joyce from Brewster, and again, happy birthday to you. A little bit early, but nonetheless, happy birthday. We will be back with Mary Michele on Meet the VIPs. About a minute away, we have an open line, 241-1310. I also want to know what a fixed sign is. You use the term. It's the first time I've heard it. We'll come back in a minute.
It's 4 a.m. You've got insomnia, and the only thing you can find to read is your car insurance bill. Suddenly you wonder, why am I paying so much? I need to talk to my agent immediately. Unfortunately, your agent's comatose at this hour, so you wait until the sun comes up, only to find that he's at a convention in Bora Bora, and the assistant who could help you just got his tie caught in the fax machine. There is a better way. Just call Geico. Our insurance professionals are ready to help anytime, before breakfast, after dinner, and in between snacks. That's the beauty of Geico's complete 24-hour service. And with one 15-minute call, you could cut your car insurance rates by 15% or more. We'll even give you a line-by-line comparison with your current policy so you can see the savings. Call Geico at 1-800-841-3000. Sure, you won't get any postcards from Bora Bora, but with the money you save, maybe you'll bump into your old agent on the beach. That's 1-800-841-3000. Geico, the sensible alternative.
And welcome back to Meet the VIPs. Mike Sarnoff with you, and our guest today, of course, Mary Michele, every Friday. You had mentioned the word fixed sign. Pray tell, what meaneth fixed sign?
Well, in astrology, we deal with three different qualities. We have cardinal signs. The four cardinal signs are Aries, Cancer, Capricorn, and Libra. And then we have the fixed signs, and the fixed signs really relate to, what is that in the Bible? There are four, there's the bull, and there's the eagle, and Matthew, Luke, John, those four Gospels, I believe. Mm-hmm. These are images that relate very closely to the four fixed signs. Taurus, the bull, Scorpio, the eagle, or the scorpion, Aquarius, man, and Leo, the lion. And, whenever a fixed sign, and then the third grouping is mutable signs, but fixed signs are the ones that kind of get things done, because more or less like the word sounds, it means that they stay with it, they stick to it, they're going to find out whatever it is that they need to know.
Okay. On the line with us now is Phil, watching on cable channel 12 in Mount Kisco. Phil's date of birth, and by the way, it is a Ms. Phil, July 27th, 1914. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi.
Well, 1914, July 27th. Okay. Was there a particular question that
I
you
just
had?
want to know if next year will be better for me than this past year, health-wise and money-wise.
Health and money. Okay. Let's see. Were the money issues something that was it just last year, or had you been having ongoing money problems?
It seems that I'm always short.
It seems like you're always short. Well, probably being a Leo, you're too generous. You might like to gamble a little bit, too. Take a few too many risks.
To send money to my grandson, that's my problem.
Oh, well, I think that's a good one. That's a good thing to do from time to time. Okay. I think you have Venus in Virgo. Venus is the planet that is about money. It's also the planet of love. How do you work with money? Do you invest money? Do you how do you acquire money?
Social Security.
Social Security.
That's it.
That's it.
That's no more.
Well, before though, did you make money before? Were you able to? Did you?
My husband was alive. We were doing fine. But then,
Right. I see. How long ago did he die?
4 years.
4 years. Well, I think the thing is that you just haven't really, because it's a new phenomena for you to have to worry about money. You haven't quite learned how to, implement. Because basically, you have with Venus and Virgo, you have a strong ability to be able to do things with money. Venus in Virgo is about knowing how to invest wisely, how to, make the right decisions. If you need to cut back, there's good discipline in terms of being able to do that. I think you're just juggling exactly you're trying to figure out how to do it. But I think that inherently you are good at it. You are good at handling money. But you had this, thing thrown at you 4 years ago that made it more difficult for you, and probably also the emotional ramifications, are still with you to a certain degree. So that is making it harder to make that leap of knowing how to handle money. But I would be willing to bet that it's, that you're probably already, moving ahead in that direction and getting better at it. The fact that you're calling today means that you are looking for ways to handle this better. And I think you will. In terms of your health, are they nervous? What is your particular area of health that is, the indication would be that you would either have, stomach problems.
That's it.
Okay. I think that you worry a tremendous amount. And, somehow you have to find ways of talking to people and perhaps trying some alternative, therapies or things like that. Do you swim?
No.
No. Have you ever... Was water something that you enjoyed ever?
Yes, I've been in the water. I've been in camps when I was younger.
Well, I think it's something to try again. If you're someplace not too far away from an indoor pool, swimming is something that is very good because it helps the nerves. It helps you relax. In water, you feel, you're not as there's less gravity. And that's a very important thing. So, and I also think that these two things are related. I think your health and money, it's about you worrying too much about both of these things. I think you will be able to, if you can find different ways and talk to different people about alleviating, this idea of worry. But talk to people and, I'm sorry? Did you want to say something?
Yeah, when I was in the hospital a month ago for acute diverticulitis. Am I saying it right?
Yes. I'm not a doctor, but it sounds right to me.
And I was so depressed that they had a psychiatrist come in and talk to me.
Well, I think that's a good thing. Was it helpful?
Yes, I feel much better.
Good. I think you're on the right track. I think you need to talk to, different people about different aspects of your life, and also give yourself some space where you don't talk and you don't think.
Okay.
Something like swimming or
Yeah.
meditating, whatever.
Okay.
Okay, thanks
Okay,
for calling.
thank you for calling, Phil. We have an open line at 241-1310. We are talking with Mary Michele on a Friday, and we'll be back in just 1 minute.
Hey, this is the $100,000 guy here with a message about the new $100,000 instant cash game from the New York Lottery. The game where you could win $100 grand in one lump sum. And when I say one lump sum, I mean the whole enchilada. The entire kit plus caboodle. The whole 9 yards. The complete shebang, lock, stock, and barrel all at once, just like that. In a word, bada bing, bada boom. There are 2 chances to win on every ticket and over $50 million in cash prizes. So be the first on your block to win $100,000. One lump sum, caboodle el grande. All at once, just like that. You get the idea. The new $100,000 instant cash game from the New York Lottery. Bada bing, bada boom.
And don't forget to play bingo, win for life, lucky sevens, or any of the other great instant cash games from the New York Lottery. With so many chances to win hundreds, even thousands of dollars instantly, it's no wonder they're the hottest ticket.
You're the hottest ticket in town, of course. And welcome back to Meet the VIPs. Mike start off with you, and we have an open line at 241-1310. We are talking with Mary Michele. I have never asked you to do this, but here we are. Today is October 5th, right? 6th. I want to know, we have mothers watching at the Northern Westchester Hospital now, people listening over at Putnam Hospital. And for those people who were born yesterday, what kind of life can they expect?
Okay, what's the date?
Let's take the 5th of October, 1995. For a mother who was listening right now, who just had a baby the other day, what can they expect with their children? What are their children going to be like?
All right, the sun in Libra, the moon in Pisces, Mercury in Libra, retrograde. The children born, on the 5th, there might be a few problems in them expressing themselves. So I think, the mothers that are listening to constantly be trying alternative ways, of working with music or, visual stimulation and so on and so forth. This is not, I'm not saying that it's absolutely going to happen, that there's going to be, trouble with communication, but it will change within the first 10 years of their life, because Mercury will move ahead in the progress chart, and there will be less of a problem with this. But if there are, just to feel comfortable about continuing to try new ways of helping this child to communicate. With the sun in Libra, Mercury in Libra, this child is going to want to please. And whenever a child wants to please too much, you want to make sure that the child understands that he doesn't necessarily have to try to make you happy as a mother all the time. The child's entitled to have its, bad days, bad moods, screaming or whatever. So be aware of the fact that the child might try a little too hard to be too good. And that, is always... and also with...
That almost sounds like a Cancerian. No, I'm serious. Where you try to be everybody's friend and you try very hard to get the affection of somebody. Is that what you're saying?
Well, with Libra, it's going to be different. It's going to be more. It's more in the mind. Libra is an air sign, so it's more diplomatically inclined. With Cancer, it's more. It's a water sign, so Cancer kind of permeates and surrounds. Lots of times you don't even know with Cancers that they're trying to please you, because they're...
They do it so quietly, or something
They're
like that.
not big communicators, I know you're the exception with,
Big mouth here, No, I was just curious, because I know we do have a lot of people who watch over at the hospital. And if you're, sitting in the waiting room right now and, you're about ready to have a kid, or you just had one a couple of days ago, something to ponder. You can't give the kid back, though. That's the whole thing.
Well, no, but the thing is that there are always things in everybody's chart that are kind of hard aspects that are the things that we have to work on. Specifically with a baby that was born on October 5th with the moon in Pisces, this person is going to really see the mother, the baby will see the mother as a person who is will give them tremendous spiritual growth. Will give them some kind of a intangible. There will always be a quality. This child will remember its parent as being a little out of the ordinary.
All right, now you just clicked something in my mind, and by the way, we have an open line at 241-1310. You said spiritual. The Jews have celebrated Yom Kippur this week. Week before was the New Year. Was there some symbolism? You used the word spiritual, and this is the holiest time in the Jewish calendar. Is there a connection?
Connection to the moon in Pisces?
Yeah.
Was the 5th Yom Kippur?
No, that was the 4th. It was
4th.
Tuesday night and Wednesday, so it was it begins on the 3rd and goes into the 4th.
Well, I think we've talked about this before. I think it somehow does relate to, the phases of the Earth and the way that it's moving with the equinoxes and the solstices, and in the Celtic, I'm not exactly sure how we express it in this country, but in the Celtic calendar, they talk about the midpoints between the solstices and the equinoxes, which are, Beltane and Samhain being Halloween. These are exact. I think that the Jewish calendar is very related to the cycles of the earth. There's always something very, very practical about the Jewish faith, even with the kosher food. It had to do with the idea that a lot of people would eat food that was not treated, and then they would get, different kinds of diseases and so on. So it's always been very, very practical. I think that even though it may not be, expressed, because there is this tendency to believe that if you talk about things connected to the earth, that, there's some kind of pagan symbolism involved with it. But, I think you can't negate the earth, and what the earth is doing, and, its different phases, how it's related to the different planets and stars and the sun particularly. So anyway, in terms of this being a spiritual time, October, is Yom Kippur always in October?
No, it can come in September also.
Yeah.
It depends on when the, was it the 13th month, I guess, because they're 28 days. It's not always the same time. It usually varies from...
Well, then I would be willing to bet that it always comes in the sign of Libra, though, because...
Okay, that's what I thought.
Right, Libra starts the end of September through the middle to the end of October. So, and really this again is about, how the Earth rotates, because the beginning of the astrological year is the sign of Aries, which is in the spring. So, and when you think about it, that is really more when you would associate with new life, children being born and all that kind of thing. The imagery is very similar to what happens to the earth in the spring, which is, all the flowers come up and all that.
Well, there's also something, if you want to change religions, in Catholicism and almost any religion in Christianity, the rebirth of Christ, the resurrection of Christ.
Exactly.
So there we are. Okay. We're talking to Mary Michele on Meet the VIPs. If you have a question about astrology, 241-1310, the number to call.
There's nothing like a classic movie to bring home all of life's feelings. Like when you lose your heart.
What is it you want, Mary? You want the moon? Just say the word and I'll throw a lasso around it and pull it down.
Flirt shamelessly.
Don't let's talk about me. Let's talk about you. What kind of man are you?
Or simply roar with laughter.
I could dance with you till the cows come home. On second thought, I'd rather dance with the cows than you come home.
Only one cable channel touches your heart by bringing you continuous classic movies. Uncut, uncolorized, and commercial-free. American movie classics. 50 years of Hollywood, from dramas to comedies, westerns to mysteries.
Now you've got it. That's the idea exactly.
See these great movies and more on American Movie Classics. We bring back the feeling.
And you can order American Movie Classics by calling Cablevision of Yorktown at 962-4444. It is 73 degrees outside. It's almost like summer at the moment. And we will be back with Mary Michele in 1 minute.
I'm a small business owner searching for new ideas to grow your business. Do you have questions regarding financing, healthcare, telecommunications, computing, or marketing? At Crane's Growing a Business in New York Expo, you'll find new solutions for expanding your small business. All in one place, all in one morning. Crane's Expo kicks off with an inspirational business breakfast. Afterwards, you'll meet with 100 service providers from all fields. Plus, you'll have the option to attend how-to seminars on financing, electronic banking, exporting, New York City incentive programs, advertising, and Windows 95. Don't miss Crane's Growing a Business Expo on October 12th, 8 a.m. to noon at the New York Hilton. To register, call Crane's at 210-0100. The expo is presented by Citibank and co-sponsored by Con Edison and 9X Business to Business Directory. For more information, look in this week's Crane's New York Business or call Crane's at 210-0100. Once again, to register for the expo on Thursday, October 12th, please call 210-0100.
All right, we're back with Mary Michele on WVIP and Cable Channel 12. Edith is watching on Cable Channel 12 over in Yorktown Heights. Good morning, Edith.
Good morning, Edith.
Edith, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. You want to talk about your son,
Yes.
and his date of birth is November 18th, 1941?
That's right.
Okay, 11/18/41. You're on with Mary Michele.
All right, Edith. Was there a particular question about?
Yes, he's had 3 angiogram plastics, and I just want to know how his health is.
Oh, my.
Yes.
He was born at the new moon. He was born with the sun and the moon in the sign of Scorpio, and Mercury in Scorpio. Let's see. Did this happen in August?
Pardon? Yes.
August, yeah. The sun, you know.
It's the last one, yeah.
Yeah. What can I say here? You know, all those planets in Scorpio, when things happen in the sign of Leo or Aquarius, there are going to be kind of difficulties. Let me see. Venus and Capricorn. Does this fellow work too hard?
Well, he works, yes, he does.
But would you say that he works harder than he needs to?
Yes.
Yeah. You know, Venus and Capricorn. Venus, again, I talked about money. You know, it relates. It's the sign of love, but it's also the sign of money. And Capricorn is the sign of really, you know, wanting to be very successful and make a lot of money and that kind of thing. And it's not a terribly good place for Venus. It's really working too hard. And then the Sun, Moon, and Mercury in Scorpio. This is also somebody that works too hard. So I think you know, he is really going to have to learn how to transform himself into someone that can allow himself to live without feeling that, you know, the nature of making money is that overriding a thing. He's got to let up on that a little bit. Does he have hobbies?
Yeah, well, yes. He likes golfing and stuff, yeah.
Well, I think golfing is terribly good, but I think he also needs some kind of a hobby that's going to stimulate his brain. Something that is, you know, of interest to him, you know, whether it's history or philosophy or, you know, he needs something to sink his teeth into because he's not someone that likes to be frivolous terribly. So he needs to, even in his leisure activities, there has to be some, you know, he has to kind of be working towards something. And I think that'll be easier than to try to tell him to do something, you know, totally, you know, because the indication would be that with him working so hard, if you try, it's kind of like telling a person that worries all the time to stop worrying. Then it only makes them mad. So you can't tell him to stop working, but you could suggest that he starts working on things that are perhaps not necessarily about making money. And you know, that might be sufficiently interesting to him, you know, if he can understand that you can work very hard at something without necessarily making money at it. It might kind of flick a switch in his brain so he doesn't push himself so hard. Very, very specifically in terms of getting better, Pluto's moving on in November, the 10th or the 13th of November. So he should probably be feeling a lot better then. But it will be a time when he is going to have to start really looking to transform himself. He cannot go back to his old ways.
Okay.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks,
Okay,
Paul.
thank you for calling. We have an open line at 241-1310. We are talking to Mary Michele here at WVIP. It's a Friday. I noticed there are people, and I'm not sure if this is you or not. You go to the newsstand, and there you can find the XYZ Book of Horoscopes, your yearly horoscope, this, that, and everything else. Are any of those any good?
The whole thing with astrology, to me, it's very much the way that one would spend time contemplating. I think of Ferdinand the Bull often. The bull that goes out there and he's supposed to go charge the matador and so on, but all he really wants to do is smell the flowers. I think that these magazines that whether it's a regular magazine, Vanity Fair, or some of the women's magazines, what